What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in South Carolina team at Real Broker, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Living in South Carolina, we're going to be talking about the top 3 reasons you should move to South Carolina. Now, these are my personal opinions, but I think they're pretty damn good ones, so let's get right into it. Coming in at number 3 on my reasons you should move to South Carolina is the job economy. South Carolina has a thriving job economy that is growing year over year, and we're seeing some massive growth to the amount of jobs that we have in the state. According to an ongoing study by the Seidman Institute, South Carolina is seeing currently roughly a 3% growth year over year to their job market. Currently in 2022, we have already added 64,000 jobs to the state. For a state that employs around 2 million people, that is significant. Now, coupled with that job growth, South Carolina also has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. Over the last 3 years, from 2019 to 2022, South Carolina has fluctuated between 22nd and 1st in the lowest unemployment levels in the country. That has kind of gone between 2.3% unemployment to 3.4% unemployment. Now, when you couple that low unemployment rate with the job growth that we're seeing in South Carolina, you create a very healthy job market that makes it exceptionally difficult not to secure employment. So if you're looking for a place to move where employment is pretty secure, South Carolina should be really high on that list. Now, my second reason you should be moving to South Carolina is its proximity to everything. Now, I'm going to use Greenville, South Carolina as my point of reference for this because I am biased and it is where I live. But when you're located in South Carolina, it is super convenient to get to all sorts of different lifestyles. Using Greenville as that example, you're located roughly 2 hours to Atlanta, 2 hours to Charlotte, 2 hours to the start of the Appalachian Trail in North Georgia, and you're only 3 hours from the beach in Charleston. Now, that doesn't even account for all that Greenville has to offer, as well as the different parks and the lakes in the upstate, but you can really have whatever sort of lifestyle you're looking for. Plus, you have Greenville that is known as a foodie town. At one point in time, had the most restaurants per capita in the US, and Greenville is only growing, as well as Clemson University and South Carolina University, the great educational institutions that they are, plus their athletic programs. Also from Greenville, you're only an hour and a half away from Asheville, North Carolina, which offers the Biltmore House, as well as one of the best craft beer scenes in the country. Since I'm using Greenville as my point of reference, you also have a deep appreciation for the arts in Greenville, with off-Broadway shows and comedians constantly coming through the Peace Center, as well as Artisphere, which actually just happened at the beginning of May, which is one of the best art festivals, in my opinion, in the country. So South Carolina's proximity to everything, as well as the culture that exists here, gives you a great second reason to move to South Carolina. Now, coming in at number 1 on my list of reasons to move to South Carolina is the taxes. So, to be frank about South Carolina's taxes, we do have a maxed out state income tax of 7%. So a lot of people who are considering some different states may look at Texas or Florida in comparison to South Carolina and say, oh, well, South Carolina has this income tax and these other states do not. Now, while that may be true, take a look at the property taxes. Those taxes out in Texas and Florida for your property taxes are much higher. In fact, the median state property tax in the state of South Carolina for primary residences is $980 a year. Yes, you heard that right. If you're coming from a state like New Jersey, New York, California, your brain probably exploded because you're likely paying around that, if not more, every month. And you will in Texas and Florida as well, because the government is always gonna get theirs. So they put this nice little piece in front of you that says no income tax, but then they're gonna stick you with the property tax bill. Now, while I'm not an accountant or a tax advisor, this is not actual tax advice, but if you're moving to South Carolina and you're a retiree and you're drawing from some pre-tax accounts, your tax bill is gonna actually end up being far lower in South Carolina than some of these other states that you may be looking at. And for me, that is a huge reason to move to South Carolina, especially if that's the stage of life that you're in. Now, regardless if you're a retiree or not, for most property owners, this significant difference in the way taxes are set up in South Carolina is a massive advantage to living here, because that income tax rate, unless you're just a massive high earner, you're likely not going to feel that as much as you would some of these property taxes in these other states. Now, one thing I will say, because in some other states, people are used to the high property taxes on the residences, that they're not used to some other little taxes. For example, in South Carolina, we do have a 6% sales tax, and we do tax people's cars. So I have a Ford F-150, and my tax bill every year is about $350 to $400. It's not crazy or extremely high, but that tax bill does surprise some people because they aren't used to it normally where they're coming from. Well guys, I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker, and this wraps up my top 3 reasons you should be moving to South Carolina. If you'd like to reach out to myself or Lindsey about moving to South Carolina, our contact information is listed below the video. And don't forget to subscribe and check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time on Living in South Carolina.